Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Krishna 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 Hey Krishna 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 Hey Krishna 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 Rakshama Krishna 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 Pahima Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rakshama Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Pahima Nitai Gauranga Nitai Gauranga Nitai Gauranga Gaurahari 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 Nitai Gauranga Gaurahari Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Gopala Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudana Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda 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 Jaya Jaya Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Apavitra Pavitro Va Sarva Avastangatopi Va Yat Smaret Pundarik Akshang Sabaya Abhyantara Suchihi Sri Vishnu Sri Vishnu Sri Vishnu Om Ajnana Timurandhasya Jnana Anjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Mukam karoti vachalang Panggung langhayate girim Yat kripatamahang bandi Paramananda madhavam Yat kripatamahang bandi Sri Gurun dinataranam Trinadapi sunichena Tarar iva sahishnuna Amanina manadena Kirtaniya sadahari Hare Nama Hare Nama Hare Nama eva kivalam Kalau nastyeva 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 gatir anyata Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So last week we began a new section, and it is all about the Yadus and the residents of Vrindavan meeting at Kurukshetra for the solar eclipse. Of course, this incident took place well before the Battle of Kurukshetra, long before the gambling match. So this gives you some idea of when this took place. So last week we heard how simultaneously the residents of Dwaraka, the Yadu dynasty, arrived at Kurukshetra to observe religious rituals in order to observe the solar eclipse. And it so happened that the residents of Vrindavan also went to Kurukshetra, and the specific spot they went was the 5 lakes that Parashuram had built or dug when he slaughtered the Kshatriyas 21 times, and the blood of those Kshatriyas filled up 5 big lakes, and therefore that place is called Samanta Panchaka. So now this next episode is called Kunti Devi and Vasudev finally meet. But above all, the visitors from Vrindavan were most prominent. The residents of Vrindavan, headed by Nanda Maharaj, had been living in great anxiety because of separation from Krishna and Balaram. So taking advantage of the solar eclipse, they all came to see their life and soul, Krishna and Balaram. The inhabitants of Vrindavan were well-wishers and intimate friends of the Yadu dynasty. This meeting of the two parties after long separation was a very touching incident. So both the Yadus and the residents of Vrindavan felt great pleasure in meeting and talking together, and it was a unique scene. Meeting after long separation, they were all jubilant. Their hearts were throbbing, and their faces appeared like freshly bloomed lotus flowers. There were drops of tears falling from their eyes. The hairs on their bodies stood on end. And because of their extreme ecstasy, temporarily they were speechless. In other words, they began to dive into the ocean of happiness. While the men were meeting in that way, the women were also meeting one another in the same manner. They were embracing each other in great friendship, smiling very mildly, and looking at one another with much affection. When they were embracing each other in their arms, the saffron and kumkum spread on their breasts was exchanged from one person to another. And so they all felt heavenly ecstasy. Due to such heart-to-heart embracing, torrents of tears glided down their cheeks. The juniors were offering obeisances to the elders, and the elders were offering their blessings to the juniors. They were thus welcoming one another and asking after each other's welfare. Ultimately, however, all their talk was only of Krishna. All the neighbors and relatives were connected with Lord Krishna's pastimes in this world. And as such, Krishna was the center of all their activities. Whatever activities they performed, whether it be social, political, religious, or conventional, were transcendental. According to the Vedic conclusion, the real elevation of human life rests on knowledge and renunciation. This is stated in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janayati Ashu Vairagyam Jnanam Cha Yad Ahoitukam. The meaning of this statement of Sutta Goswami to the sages of Naimisharanya is that devotional service rendered to Krishna automatically produces perfect knowledge and renunciation. The family members of the Yadu dynasty and the cowherder men of Vrindavan had their minds fixed on Krishna. And that is the symptom of all knowledge. And because their minds were always engaged in Krishna, automatically they were freed from all material activities. This stage of life is called Yukta Vairagya, which is enunciated by Srila Rupa Goswami. Yukta Vairagya means feasible renunciation, as practiced by the followers of Lord Chaitanya, whereas Shukshka Vairagya, or dry renunciation, is practiced by the impersonalists. Knowledge and renunciation, therefore, do not mean dry speculation and renunciation of all activities. Rather, one must start speaking and acting only in relationship with Krishna. In this meeting at Kurukshetra, Kunti Devi and Vasudeva, who were actually sister and brother, met after a long period of separation, along with their respective sons and daughters-in-law, wives, children, and other family members. By talking among themselves, they soon forgot all their past miseries. Kunti Devi especially addressed her brother Vasudeva as follows: "My dear brother, I am very unfortunate because not one of my desires has ever been fulfilled. Otherwise, how could it happen that although I have such a saintly brother as you, perfect in all respects, you did not inquire from me as to how I was passing my days in a distressed condition of life?" It appears Kunti Devi was remembering the miserable days when she had suffered, along with her sons, through the mischievous plans of Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana, Kunti continued to address her brother Vasudeva. My dear brother, I can certainly understand that when providence, when fate goes against someone, even one's nearest relatives also forget one. In such a condition, even one's father, one's mother, or one's own children will forget one. Therefore, my dear brother, I do not accuse you. Vasudeva replied to his sister, My dear Kunti Devi, do not be sorry and do not blame me in that way. For we should always remember that we are only toys in the hands of providence. Everyone is under the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is under His control only that all kinds of fruitive actions and the resultant reactions take place. My dear sister, you know that we were very much harassed by King Kamsa, and by his persecutions we were scattered here and there, and we were always full of anxieties. Only in the last few days have we returned to our own places by the grace of God. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This next section is entitled The Glorious Position of Nanda and Yashoda. Oh, excuse me, no, that is not correct. No. First we have to hear the glorious position of Ugrasena. Sorry, I skipped. This is called the glorious position of Ugrasena. After this conversation, Vasudeva and Ugrasena received the kings who came to see them, and they sufficiently welcomed them all. Seeing Lord Krishna on the spot, all the visitors felt transcendental pleasure and became very peaceful. Some of the prominent visitors were as follows: Bhishma Dev, Drona Acharya, Dhritarashtra, Duryodhana, and Gandhari, along with her sons, King Yudhishthir, along with his wife, and the Pandavas, along with Kunti. There was also Sanjay, Vidura, Kripa Acharya, Kunti Bhoja, Virata, King Nagnajit, Purujit, Drupada, Shalya, Drishtaketu, the king of Kashi, Damagosh, Vishalaksha, the king of Mithila, the king of Madras, formerly known as Madra, the king of Kekai, Yudamanyu, Susharma, Palika, along with his sons, and many other rulers who were subordinate to King Yudhishthir. And when they saw Lord Krishna with his thousands of queens, they became fully satisfied at the sight of such beauty and transcendental opulence. All who were there personally visited Lord Balaram and Krishna, and being properly welcomed by Lord Krishna, they began glorifying the members of the Yadu dynasty, especially Krishna and Balaram. Because he was the king of the Bhojas, Ugrasena was considered the chief Yadu, and therefore the visitors specifically addressed Ugrasena. Your Majesty Ugrasena, king of the Bhojas, factually, the Yadus are the only persons within this world who are perfect in all respects. All glories unto you, Ugrasena. All glories unto you. The specific condition of your perfection is that you are always seeing Lord Krishna, who is sought after by many mystic yogis undergoing severe austerities and penances for great numbers of years. All of you there in the Yadu dynasty are in direct touch with Lord Krishna there in Dwaraka at every moment. All the Vedic hymns are glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. The Ganges water is considered sanctified because of its being the water used to wash the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. And the Vedic literatures are nothing but the injunctions of Lord Krishna. The purpose of the study of all the Vedas is to know Krishna. Therefore, the words of Krishna and the message of his pastimes, which is known as Krishna Katha, are always purifying. By the influence of time and circumstances, all the opulences of this world had become almost completely wiped out. But since Krishna has appeared on this planet Earth, all auspicious features have again appeared due to the touch of Krishna's lotus feet. Because of Krishna's presence, all our ambitions and desires are gradually being fulfilled. Your Majesty, Ugrasena, King of the Bhojas, you are related with the Yadu dynasty by matrimonial relationship and by blood relationship also. As a result, you are constantly in touch with Lord Krishna, and so you have no difficulty in seeing him at any time. Why? Lord Krishna moves with you, talks with you, sits with you, rests with you, and dines with you. The Yadus appear to be always engaged in worldly affairs which are considered to lead to the royal road to hell. But due to the presence of Lord Krishna, who is the original personality of Godhead in the Vishnu category, and who is omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent, all of you are factually relieved from all material contamination and are situated in the transcendental position of liberation and Brahman, spiritual existence. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.